Final series. Remember that loser of this series will be going home. Winner does go to day 2, though.
So with that all said and done, let's just crunch down a bit of lane priority, right? And of course the general picks coming in from both sides. When it comes down to, of course, the jungler as well as the Moskov, I would require some time to really understand these two matchups. So I'm gonna reserve my opinions at least for now. But when it comes down to the EXP lane, it's understandable that Esmeralda is definitely gonna do a pretty good job down in the bottom lane, only until Ruby starts to pick up the War Axe. Once the War Axe has come up, then it's pretty fair to say that Ruby might be able to oppress the Esmeralda even further.
Yeah, Ruby is a pain in the behind right now, but we do see Suni ganking.
Oh, Pick already committed right here. Sagitnu just absorbing all the damage coming from Suni. Sagitnu should be able to heal all the way up, but yeah, nothing could be converted down the bottom lane.
We do see Yawn taking an engage in Suni, trying to bully her out of her lane. And a first blood with the Priestess Wrath.
Yeah, Priestess Wrath just deals the killing blow onto Suni, and that's going to limit her all the way into level 4, right? And now not only just that, no level 4, no safety net for the side of Vanguard. Yeah, Suni has to play safe going into the turtle fight.
This turtle fight is this turtle fight is gonna be just completely in bleed side.
Yeah, it's completely going to bleed side with a mid laner that have lost one entire creep wave, unable to give it over to the roamer, which is 16 here. It's definitely gonna be tougher for them to try to vie for the turtle fight. But in the meantime, Dak did manage to make an appearance down the bottom.
Yep, no, just that. Nick, oh, nice. I'm offended. Will be able to pull the members for the side of bleed, especially Sagitnu all the way. Jay right now turns into the human form, but it's going to be Yonce carrying the turtle instead. Jay also take down Dak at the same time. It's just going to be a massive problem for the side of bleed right here going into the early game.
Massive problem for Vanguard, you reckon? I think Vanguard right now is looking extremely weak. 2-1, 500 gold, and keep in mind that there's only 2 minutes in the game. Turtle is... Wait, Turtle is
transferred over to the to bleed side. And to make matters worse is that the purple buff has been stolen by the hands of Yawn. So at least for the side of bleed, they completely understood what they're gonna have to do. And if they do get the lead, they're immediately just gonna go straight over to the opponent jungle. That is one of the things that a Fredrin is gonna be really good at. And as for Dak, he understood that he gotta have to risk it for the biscuit. Without his own purple buff in his own jungle, he's gonna have to raid.
Yep, no, just that is gonna be Sagitnu getting knocked out sky high. Ken will be credited for that kill instead. Nick Stain goes onto human form, but at the same time, you saw that taking a second death already, and all because Gear decided to use a Divine Judgment over there.
Yeah, I mean, look, by going in and invading and stealing your opponent's purple buff, right? It forces your opponent to try to do an invade. Bleed was ready for that. Bleed counted that, read that like a book, right? So honestly, everything is just going on the way of lead at this point in time. But there is a 1k gold lead, but it's not the end of the story for Vanguard just yet.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about 1k gold lead within 4 minutes. Normally, in most situations, I can just pass it off very simply and just say that it's not that big of a deal. But unfortunately, within that 4 minutes, we have a mid lane that is under-leveled and unable to compare with the opponents, despite being a Lilia, which have a way better lane priority as compared to a Valentina. Being stuck in the middle lane is definitely going to be put a very huge toll onto the team for being unable to rotate around. Perhaps they made that decision because they want to prioritize more on the purple buff, as you can see here.
I'm offended. Falling Yawn right there. Great health on the side of Yawn.
Wait! Dexter didn't get his purple buff!
I don't.
Ooh. The deck is right now 2 levels behind Yawn at this point.
That would make sense.
It feels so bad seeing this game right now play out. Bleed is going to take the turtle without a hitch. And
the Divine Judgment on the Ken too.
Ken not only just that, I'm offended. Make sure he survives just a little bit longer. That's a lot of ultimates already committed. Even Ken committing to his, he's standing strong down in the bottom lane. And that's exactly what Vanguard needs, right? Scaling all the way to the later parts of the game. We shall take a look at how Bleed cracks Vanguard. But on the other hand, Vanguard, look at the items coming out from Stain. That is a Corrosive Scythe. No, yeah, Corrosive Scythe. No, that's not. Sorry, Feather Heavens. Maybe for the side of Stain.
Alright, so understandably for the side of Bleed, they know that the name of the game now is all about contesting for the enemy's jungle to make sure that deck stays way below of Yawn's EXP level, just so that the Retribution can always be used to steal away the purple buff. This way they will always be able to cripple and put this Flying Fanny into a Ground Fanny. The moment that you have a Ground Fanny for the entire game, even if you don't have a Retribution for the turtle.
Yep, you're looking for the Divine Judgment right there. Ken just pausing out just a little bit. Nick Stain jumping on Flicker at the same time. He will be able to take down his counterpart, and now not only just that, picking up a double kill. Vanguard is starting to solve Bleed like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Bleed just looking a little bit too greedy at that point in time, trying to get a kill onto Liechtenstein. Honestly, Vanguard was so far behind, they didn't really need to make that kind of risky play, but they chose to go for it nonetheless, and they've got punished.
Unfortunately, it seems like a game of complacency at a point in time. They believe that they are ahead, which technically they are, but not by a far stretch. And just going into proxy, they have learned their mistake. But to be fair, even when the mistake was made, Bleed took the opportunity to have Valentina as well as Brethren to head into the opponent's purple buff to steal the purple buff away from deck once again. So this flightless bird is quite literally going to be our... quite literally gonna be a chicken of our era, unable to fly and just constantly grounded.
Chickens can fly, I think
Could
dodos...
fly last time. Last time they could fly. Now they can't.
They can still fly a little bit.
A little bit.
Anyways, dodos are the birds that you're looking about.
But they're excellent.
Exactly.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Down bottom lane. Seiji getting burst off, and now it's going to be Sagitnu jumping with the ultimate. Liechtenstein letting down the pain onto Sagitnu, but no follow up right here. On the other hand, Yon is just securing onto the turtle up top, but Vanguard don't care. They're going to push down bottom.
I have to say though, the tower melted extremely quickly, right? So Vanguard still still has signs of life in terms of being in this game. Right now, the gold lead has shrunk down to about 900 gold. So Vanguard still looking as like they're in the game.
It's really tough for Vanguard to play as they're constantly going to be in a 4 versus 5 fashion. But Bleed, they will echo that as well. They will be like, you know what? If it's going to be a 4v5, we don't want that. We'll keep it to 4v4. We'll put our investment somewhere else, which is going to be putting on Seiji. Seiji might not be in most of these team fights as he can just go off for a split push, knowing how Moskov is going to be really good at that. So Bleed should be able to tally things out with Vanguard's main 4, the available 4 at the very least. But now, finally, 8 minutes in, it does seem like Fanny can finally pick up the purple buff. But at what cost? Because, let's be honest here, even with a purple buff right now coming in from deck, can he really even kill anyone?
Yeah, keep in mind that deck is still under-leveled as well, right? So Fanny, we saw Fanny doing extremely well with Yom highlighting her, but now we see on deck's hands, not looking too hot, guys. And honestly speaking, in my experiences, when a Fanny doesn't get fed,
Spin for the win right here. Does a bit of damage onto Jay, but it barely takes us bleed for now.
yeah, and that's the point I was alluding to, right? A Fanny which is not fed, a Fanny which is not going on curve, isn't going to be doing too much in terms of contributions.
Yeah,
to
at least
the
for
team.
now, I guess. Perhaps this purple buff should be able to help them propel themselves forward just a tad little bit. I don't think that Bleed is particularly too afraid of the damage potential that deck is capable to bring out, but damage is still damage. As you can see on the damage dealt chart, deck is currently dealing with 11,000 damage.
The ultimate right there, Sagitnu taking the brunt of the damage. Liechtenstein credited for the kill, but where's the follow-up coming from Bleed? They're just gonna give Sagitnu over to Vanguard right now.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird. Usually we see Bleed trying to exchange objectives or exchange things on the map. We see a fight being broken out.
Yep, yeah, looking forward, especially we'll be able to catch on to Liechtenstein. Jay right here just outputting damage at the front line as well. Yon just absorbing the aggression from the side of the Lord Pit. Liechtenstein will go down. Sagitnu doesn't even require to join the fight. Now Bleed made it equal for now, 4v4, but now with Sagitnu in tow, it's not an equal fight for Vanguard and Bleed. Bleed takes the forward.
Surprisingly, throughout all of that has happened already, deck is only just 1 level behind of Yon. So as much as we saw, like as though Vanguard has been completely oppressed, it's not exactly the case at all. It just looks like that on the surface. Vanguard still manages to find external ways of farming. They get themselves their EXP as well as gold. If we were to look at EXP and GPM chart, I would say that they are not out. They are not exactly out of the game just yet.
Eruption catches onto Ken. Seiji stepping forward just a little bit. Prison Raz will not be able to connect anything. That goes for the bad line, and now will not be able to find any damage at all. Vanguard still needs to deal with the Lord marching up top.
Yeah, Lord is marching down the top side, and all the look. Tier 2 tower has dropped already for Vanguard on their bot lane. Tier 1 tower is pushing in. Bleed is doing this like a textbook, right? Lord pushes in one lane. You put pressure on another lane, and you're gonna get basically two pressure.
Yon walking into the realm bush right here will get hooked, and that's exactly what Vanguard likes to do. Right now, Vanguard is just picking off Bleed one by one.
This is probably going to be their MO for quite a moment, for quite a while. While the Lord slowly takes its time to stroll out to the top lane, they still have some time to actually defend their middle lane, which as you can see here is exactly what they do.
This time around, Ken will be the victim instead. Liechtenstein steps forward just a little bit. Here's also the meteor shower, but Sagitnu will be able to respond onto Liechtenstein as well. The shield just providing, and Liechtenstein is trying to kite backwards. Jay as well will be ending down damage. Seiji will be picking up Liechtenstein with the Spear of Destruction from afar, but now Vanguard has to deal with the Lord that's marching up top.
They don't have a lot of defensive capabilities, at least from the side of Vanguard. For Lushenstein to just stand tall, put his foot down, and really just auto-attack all the way. He's gonna have to kite a lot, which is definitely gonna be one of the main problems that Chang'e have, because they have no escape mechanism. The only thing that they have is building up shields. But speaking of shields, that is exactly what Sagittarius do. Taking shields away, and technically speaking, giving shields and taking them away.
Yeah, I think the Esmeralda pick into the Chang'e was very smart. Actually, Esmeralda was picked first and then Chang'e picked last, right?
Technically speaking, I'm not too sure if whether the interaction works this way, but because of the fact that the first skill is a shield, okay, never mind.
Seiji. That second skilled spear followed deck all the way to the wall. And the follow-up spear destruction.
F in the chat, guys.
Man, never thought I'd live to see that that interaction.
Literally just F in chat voice for Deck at that point. 0-3 and 1, unfortunately, not the Fanny that he was expecting to play, I reckon.
It's not easy. I'm gonna have to say, it's really not easy for Deck to be able to do much. But losing the mage in the early stages of the game, just losing the very first, just losing the second purple buff, it means a huge toll to a Fanny already. And from that point in time, they gotta have to find a way to salvage from the situation. And their current salvation, it really boils down to back to what we talked about before. Just pick up a little bit and try to get themselves back to level 15, especially for Deck. He just needs to drive by, go for Retribution Steals, which is something that is definitely possible that we have seen before from Team Flash.
Drive by, you make it sound so easy, man. You see the Lord being started up by Yon on the side of Bleed. Deck is trying to maneuver himself into a good position, but the Lord just being left alone at this point.
Yeah, just typical Lord dance, right? And I really like what Sagittarius did there. Opening up the map to make sure that there's no enemy jungle, especially when the Fannies, they like to just, fly by and then retreat and then just get out, right? And sometimes, especially when the game has reached to this period of time, yeah, you don't want to give the Lord over to the enemy team just because you made a mistake.
Yeah, every single step, every single move makes a very, very big difference at this point. Both teams are gathered as, most teams are gathered right now. Bleed as a 5-person. Vanguard is kind of split off, but it is a Fanny. She has a high mobility who can move around the map as and when she pleases. This is a very long Lord dance, guys.
That's typical, but okay, Yon stepping up. Ken will be the victim right here, not able to use his Iron Offender. The damage is already gone for the side of Vanguard. Now Gear will be stepping forward just a little bit and will not be able to catch anybody for now. Jay stepping at the same time as well, takes away the ultimate of the Lilia instead, and now Yon just deals with the Lord, and all of a sudden the Lord priority swings all the way back to Vanguard, and Jay decides to pop the ultimate instead. Seiji sitting right there, pushing Deck away.
Yeah, that was a very, very weird fight. I mean, I reckon Bleed was pushing in a little bit, Gear was pushing in a little bit too deep and got punished for that.
No, not just that. Onwards. Big Stain has to get out of the way. Now the meter shower, and that's what's causing a lot of problems for the side of Bleed right here. Yon has to limp away, but Jay will be able to secure the kill onto Suni.
Bottom lane is ultimately very important, and great that Deck is actually heading over to the bottom lane. They require to put a lot more pressure onto the opposite side of where the Lord is in order to get themselves a little bit more of an edge in this upcoming Lord's fight. Because Vanguard also understood that Bleed, they are inexplicably having issues trying to clear things out, and within that short span of time, Deck actually leveled up to level 15 already. So they're back in game. They can definitely fight for this, and Yon is only still level 14.
Yeah, Kira getting stabbed as well. Not just that, Yon will get deleted by Deck. He has redeemed himself, but nice spear coming up on the side of Seiji will be able to stun everybody, and the spear of destruction
Seiji!
Jumps to the back! Destroys Ken! Destroys Luxian. Nowhere for them to run, but Deck is still alive. He's looking for more. He's looking for the big up right here. Try to spin and try to delay the fight.
So even when we are looking at items, right? Because understandably, Deck wouldn't have enough items. The only thing he has is Blade. They have the CC Helmet as well as the Malefic Roar. Decent items, I gotta have to say, decent items. But it's not quite enough to really deal a chunk of damage to the main damage dealers on Bleed and even to their main tanky players. Deck might be actually able to steal the Lord away, but got distracted a tad bit.
Yeah, they did not let Deck get close to the Lord at all. By the way, Seiji is full items already. No wonder he's chunking them down.
Yeah, he's all they need for the Lord, and I think that is going to be possibly how they're going to be tackling the Lord from this point onwards. That is if they manage to take away the northern jungle dominance.
Yeah, well, with the Lord being taken down at this point, Lord is spawning and pushing in from the top side. Thankfully, for the side of Vanguard, they've managed to push out the lane a fair amount as well, so the Lord's going to take a little bit to reach the inhibitor turret now. But yeah, I think for the side of Bleed, right, they need to put pressure on the opposite side of the map. We do see Sagitnu following the Lord, tailing the Lord, making sure that the Lord gets to the inhibitor turret safely. And we see all 3 lanes being pushed in at this point.
Definitely going to be a tad bit tough as Bleed held down to their lanes to ensure that they don't push the lanes off too far to give Vanguard free farm. But as we are speaking, the Lord is going to be making his way, placed his mark on the inhibitor turret in the top lane, and Vanguard readies himself for the attack coming in from Bleed to push in the middle lane in hit.
Yep, Meteor Shower just landing onto the high ground. On top of that, Sunny can just burst down the wave very easily, so Vanguard does have a very solid high ground. It's now up to Bleed on how to peel Vanguard apart. One false step. Don't forget, Vanguard could just swipe back, especially with Lucian Stain. Nick Stain gets a lot of damage in there, and just in case of the cleanup, that can also do the cleanup.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential, I think, for Vanguard to come back into this game. Remember, the longer the game goes, the better it actually is for the side of Vanguard, right? So right now, already with Moskov hitting his 6 items, yes, he is going to be a threat going into this very late part of the game. But, you know, I think there's just a lot more carry potential for the side of Vanguard.
In terms of item effectiveness as well, one thing we gotta have to look out for is one of the first few items that Gear picked up is gonna be the Radiant Armor. And I believe that Yon having the Radiant Armor himself as well, they should be able to mitigate quite a bit of damage from the side of Vanguard, namely Lucian Stain, Nick Stain, and Zuni. With Dak and Ken being the only one that deals physical damage, the only one that really built up physical defenses really boils down to Yon as well as
Flicker for Flicker. Gear will be able to catch onto Nick Stain though. No follow-up coming up from Bleed for now. Nick Stain walks away scot-free.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Divine Judgment on Nick Stain was necessarily the right choice. Yes, he was a little bit out of position, but it felt a little bit too much for to fire off the Divine Judgment. I mean, after all, he is supposedly the only tanky one, I think, on the side of Vanguard. So questioning that play a little bit, but I reckon it's still not too bad. Flicker for Flicker.
A bit 90 seconds on the cooldown for the Flicker of Gear. I think that they should still be able to execute this upcoming boss fight without that, unless Vanguard have got something special to say about that. As all 5 members of Vanguard has marched their way down in the middle lane to gain a little bit of the river control and slowly make their way up north to scout out the entirety of the Lord's Pit. And the only one that's in Bleed side is Yon. And the last thing that they saw was Jay in the middle lane. Where is everyone else? Seiji down in the bottom lane. Is that going to be found out?
Yon, onward, will be able to connect. Will be able to either connect. I think I heard an unfriended, but it does not hook anybody from the side of Bleed. Seiji slowly stepping forward. Don't forget, Seiji has no boots right here. He goes in pure defensive. Not only just the immortality, but he also has a Rose Gold Meteor to kind of deal with the damage coming off Lucian Stain and also Deck.
I was expecting that the Immortality, the Winter Transient, as well as the Rose Gold Meteor would be more of a rotational material, not exactly one of them being the mainstays. But regardless, that is going to be the item build for Seiji, at least for now, being extremely cautious for this upcoming fight.
We saw the Spear of Destruction trying to hit that Fanny, but evidently just missing. You know, but I don't think Seiji actually expected to actually hit anything at that point. Just more of a, I guess,
Scouting tool.
Scouting tool, yeah. All right, so with the Lord being taken down at this point of the game, I don't know what can Vanguard do to come back. Look, they've got all 3 lanes that's gonna be pushing out really soon. And not to mention an enhanced Lord that's going to be smashing the Crystal.
At this point in time, it's definitely gonna have to do with the mid laner. The mid laner still have 1 item to fulfill, and that will really help them to clear out waves fast enough, as well as to really deal with the main bulk of people that's coming straight up towards the Lilia. At least he does have the Divine Glaive as well as the Blood Wings, but for now, you do have the Lord that's just gonna be marching in and being the main threat of Vanguard and Bleed.
Fan flicker forward just a little bit. I'm a Fender will be able to catch up to Gear. Gear's a little bit down low. Will get clean off by Deck. But the damage coming out from Vanguard is starting to show right here. In fact, Sagitnu also takes a fall. 2 members from the side of Bleed already down. Vanguard still standing strong.
The death timers are going really long as well, man. They're hitting close to a minute at this point of the game. 1 misstep, 1 misplay could actually end the series for Bleed at this point.
Well, I gotta have to say, it's quite a defense that Vanguard managed to pull off for themselves. But in the meantime, it does seem like Nick Stain did manage to wander into the brush where Seiji as well as Yon is at. So we're looking at 3 versus 5, and Vanguard should be able to take down turrets no problem. But killing, that might be still a problem.
Yeah, Seiji down a little bit low right here. Nick Stain gets terrified. Jay in the spot of trouble right here. Not only just damage.
Oh my god, Jay!
The damage to Deck will be able to just flip all the way, just get on out. 3 members from the side of Bleed. It's all still in the graveyard. 2 members from the side of Bleed left. Vanguard was able to push all the way back to the base turret for now.
Massive potential there coming from Jay. I was really expecting a big play coming out, but Nick Stain did manage to pop the Primal Ref pretty much in time. Ken as well as Dak, they were all very down low on HP. That Black Shoes as well as that Flicker, it really almost got Jay out of that tight pickle. If that actually worked out for them and for Bleak to even get a couple of kills, boy, that would have been a big highlight. But luckily for Vanguard, and maybe it's not fully attributed to luck, but Vanguard still managed to get away from all of that despite a pretty big play from Jay.
Yeah, look, the fights are getting closer and closer and closer, right? As mentioned slightly before, one misstep is going to end this game. Jay's going to be spawning in 4 seconds, so I reckon all eyes is going to be on this Lord. This Lord is going to make or break the team that's going to win this match, and everyone, and we see Yon making his way up, trying to scout out. He's just starting the Lord straight away.
They're not going to be caring too much about the Lord. No. They need information, at least for now. For Bleed, they're playing things slow, calmly. They have tried to infiltrate into the Vanguard space, but to no avail. The amount of damage that Vanguard is able to dish out is no joke, as you can definitely see. Where is all of these damage coming from? Well, we probably can find out in the post-game statistics. But for now, it is relatively fair to say that Luxenstein playing as this jungler might be one of the biggest contributing factor. Let's not forget that Nick Stain that's playing as this Edith would also be a big factor as well. Although he doesn't have got his Stallion Scythe, which could definitely do a lot more true damage to Yon and Sagitnu, but they need that heavy front line. They need that tankiness out of Nick Stain. And speaking of which, Sagitnu
immediately gets blown out to pieces. Dak will be pushing for the kill. CG tries to notify, but instead of hitting onto the main hero, he hits onto the minions instead. And now Nick, the immortality being popped. 2 members of the side bleed already down. 3v5. Vanguard looking solid right now, and the Lord free for them to take.
Oh, this fight.
Yon is still available though. We're gonna still have to watch out for that.
It's not over yet. This fight is not over.
They still have his retribution. They're still going up against Dak. Ken is right in front. But Bleed, do they even have the control that they want? Do they even have divine retribution? Which they don't. Flickers, Jay has it, but what do he steal? He don't have anything.
Here comes Dak, joining the fight right here. It's going to be Ken. Dragging onto Jay. The damage shield on the side bleeder is already gone. It's just Seiji all the way left. Nick Stain goes into human form, and he's actually taking a lot of punishment. And now Yon, 1 by 1 from the side of Bleed.
What is going on?
Down. Vanguard against the Wards. Sweeps out Bleed. Just Seiji left in the base.
Marching straight to the middle lane with all 5 members of Vanguard. Not touched, not death, no casualty, fatality.
That's it.
It's all gonna be on Seiji instead.
Man.
Madness!
Vanguard against the Wards.